Namaste to all. I was going through the Yajurveda Bhashya of Maharishi Dayanand Saraswati, and suddenly it struck me to see the 36th chapter of Yajurveda, which has the full GAYATRI Mantra 36 by 3. Because I have always studied GAYATRI Mantra written by Maharishi in Satyartha Prakash, and of course I have learned GAYATRI Mantra from my Acharya. But in the Yajurveda Bhashya, Maharishi has written a very different meaning for Gayatri Mantra. It was superb, wonderful. Of course, when we do jap of Gayatri Mantra, the meaning which is explained by my Acharya ji or which is explained in Satyartha Prakash will help us. But this meaning of Yajurveda Bhashya also is very, very significant. Maharishi has written in 3 steps: how, who and why. How means how to worship that Almighty God. Who is that Almighty God, and why we must worship that Almighty God. So he has split the mantra into this. Of course, he has not mentioned how, who and why. When I try to put that mantra in this order, it was giving a very beautiful sense that how to worship that God, who is that Almighty God, and why we must worship that Almighty God is beautifully explained in this explanation of Gayatri Mantra. So when you all know the mantra, it's a very famous mantra. Om Bhur Bhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yonah Prachodayat. In fact, the Manusmriti, 2nd chapter I was reading a while ago, where Manu Bhagans says that by continuously doing jap of Gayatri Mantra for a period of 3 years, if you continuously do upasana of Gayatri Mantra, you can attain moksha also. That's a very, very powerful mantra. Of course, continuously does not mean 24/7. Continuously means without breakage. Every day, morning and evening, if you do Gayatri Mantra jap, and if you adopt Vedas in your life, and if you follow the Vedic Dharma such as Yam and Niyam, in 3 years' time also you can attain Parabrahmam. This is his experience he has written in Manusmriti. Of course, is it possible for us to attain Almighty God in 3 years? It is not easily possible, but when we strictly adhere to the Vedic philosophy, when we start worshipping that Almighty God day in and day out and have complete faith on that Almighty God, we feel His presence always, we dedicate our karmas to Him, and when we have Samarpan Bhavana, when we have Pranidan, Ishwar Pranidan completely, and when we have service to our Acharya and Acharya is completely satisfied with your service, then it is not impossible for sure. And of course, 3 years time is not so easy to maintaining Vedic Dharma for 3 years and then continuously doing tapasya morning and evening with Shraddha, purity of the heart is difficult in these times. But that's a very good inspiration which I saw in Manusmriti. So, how, who and why? Maharishi says, Buhu Bhuvaha Swaha. Buhu iti Karma Vidyam. He says, Buhu Bhuvaha Swaha is Karma Vidyam, Upasana Vidyam, Jnana Vidyam. So, he says, how? By the knowledge of all the 4 Vedas. Simply Karma, Upasana and Jnana. Karma Vidya is there in Yajurveda predominantly. Upasana Vidya in Samaveda predominantly. Jnana Vidya in Rigveda predominantly. And Atharveda is summary of all the other 3 Vedas. Atharveda is also called as Brahma Veda. Atharveda is also having the Vijnana Kanda. That means Vijnanam means attaining the realizing the knowledge. What you have read is called as Vijnana, science. So Buhu Bhuvaha Swaha and Dhimahi. So when you go and ask to Maharishi Dayanand Saraswati, Maharishi says, I have understood the Upasana Rahasya from my Acharya. I have understood the Karma Rahasya from my Acharya. I have understood the Jnana Rahasya from Acharya, and after understanding Sangraha Purvak, after understanding all these secrets from the four Vedas, and after adopting all these three vidya is Gyan Karma Upasana in my life, then Dhimahi, then meditating upon that Almighty God. Upon which Almighty God? The mantra says, Devasya Savituhu Tatvarenyam Bhargaha. Devasya Savituhu. Savituhu, समस्त ऐश्वर्य को देने वाला परमेश्वर. One who gives us all the Aishwarya. One of the meaning of Savituhu. That Almighty God is Tat. Tat is coming from the previous, mantras of Yajurveda. Tat is actually Indriya Agrahanat. That Almighty God who is not perceivable by our Indriya. Tat means formless Almighty God. Formless Almighty God means, more clarity is Indriya Agrahanat. Cannot see the Almighty God by our eyes. We cannot hear that Almighty God by our ears. We cannot touch the Almighty God by our skin. We cannot smell the Almighty God by our nose, and we cannot taste that Almighty God by our tongue. None of our Indriya is capable to feel that Almighty God. Even the mind cannot touch that Almighty God or realize that Almighty God. Indriya Agrahanat Tat. Tat meaning is that Almighty God is not only formless. For example, we say that air is formless. We can perceive air by our breath. We can breathe the air and feel that there is air here, right? But God is not felt by our Indriya. You cannot inhale God. You cannot exhale God. You cannot perceive Almighty God in any sense. That is why He is Indriya Agrahanat Tat. So Maharishi says, after studying Gyan Karma Upasana from my Acharya, and after following Gyan Karma Upasana of the four Vedas, which I learned from my Acharya, and after continuously doing Dhyan of that Paramatma who is mentioned in the Vedas, and that Almighty God is Tat. He is devoid of any body, and He cannot be perceived by our senses and perceptions. Tat Savituhu. Savituhu, samast Aishwarya ko dene wala. One who gives us all the wealth. And Devasya, one who is worthy, one who is adorable. One who is adorable. Devasya iti varenyam. Svikar karne yogya. Svikar karne yogya means one who is acceptable for worship. One who is acceptable for worship through dhyana. One who can be meditated upon is called as varenyam. And bhargaha. Bhargaha means the purest Paramatma who is Tej Swarup Wala, who has sublime Tej in him. He is the one who gives Tejas to all the planets. He is the one who is giving Tejas to our body. And He is the one who is Dukhon ke Nashak. Bhargaha also has got another inner meaning. Dukhon ke Nashak, one who destroys our Dukh. And He is the Tej Swarup Parameshwar. This is the Almighty God which I learnt from Vedas, and this is the Almighty God whom I meditate upon every day. Maharishi Dayanand Saraswati says. How I explained to you by Gyan Karma Upasana of the four Vedas, and by Dhimahi, by meditation. And who is Tat Savitah Devasya Varenyam Bhargaha, and why I meditate upon that Almighty God, why I should follow this Almighty God. Naha Diyaha Yaha Prachodayat. Yaha Naha Diyaha Prachodayat. That because that Almighty God who is mentioned as Devasya Tat Savituhu Varenyam Bhargaha, that Almighty God, Naha Hamari, He is the one who gives us what? Diyaha Prachodayat. He is the one who makes our intellect pure. He is the one who makes our intellect pious. He is the one who will take our intellect towards moksha. He is the one who will make our intellect to understand who he is. Because the Indriya is not capable to understand who he is, we cannot feel the Almighty God. If you go and speak to a scientist, the scientist will ask one simple question: prove the existence of Almighty God by microscope, telescope, etc., by instruments. See, microscope, telescope, all these instruments are extension of our Indriya only. Microscope will help us to see minute particles. Telescope will help us to see far away galaxies or sun, moon, etc. Both are extension of eyes only. So basically, eyes cannot reach Almighty God. You cannot reach Almighty God by microscope or telescope or any other instrument which can measure photon, electron, etc. So Diyaha Prachodayat means we praying to this Almighty God who is mentioned in this mantra, that hey Paramatma, I am praying to you, I am studying Vedas, I am following Vedas, I am listening to my Acharya, I am adopting Vedic Dharma in my life. Please make my intellect understand the knowledge that what is Chetan, what is Jad, what is Vidya, what is Avidya, what is Pap Karma, what is Punya Karma. Why I should not do this, why I should do this. All this knowledge give to my intellect, so that I continuously walk the path of Vedas day in and day out. And at one point of time, let me realize you. Naha Diyaha Yaha Prachodayat. This is the benefit of the Gayatri Mantra. Maybe that is the reason Manu Bhagwan has told that in 3 years also you can attain Samadhi. So when we continuously meditate upon this Almighty God through Gayatri Mantra, we can surely attain a very high point in our spirituality in this Janma itself. Maybe we may not attain Samadhi, but we can achieve a very, very high point in the spirituality. And that will probably continue. Of course, not probably, it will surely continue as the result of karmas in the next Janma. But, there is a Upanishad sloka which I will make a separate video later on, where a Rishi says that try to attain that Almighty God within this Janma. Don't postpone it to next Janma. That means he is trying to indicate that give your 100% effort or 200% or 1000% effort so that you attain Samadhi in this Janma itself. Don't postpone it to next Janma is my humble request. Rishi says in Upanishad. Because Rishi says some experience what can happen in the next Janmas, which I will make a separate video. I made a video in Tamil a couple of days back on that. So this is the benefit of Gayatri Mantra. Beautiful mantra, really beautiful mantra. So I liked it very much. I wanted to make a short audio video. Thank you so much. Namaste. Om.